everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today on the History Teen, we're going to be diving into the story of the Boston Tea Party. So, hope you're ready. Let's jump right into this. It was quite a night with a lot of tension leading up to it. It was December 16th, 1773 in Boston, Massachusetts. Tensions had been running high with the unlawful taxes that had been taking more and more of the colonists' freedoms. The Stamp Act, the Sugar Act, these were just a few of the examples of the infringements on the colonists' freedoms. The Stamp Act had recently been repealed, but a small tea tax remained. This was small, but it was a reminder of Parliament's power. You see, it wasn't that the colonists were opposed to taxes or to government. Their problem was when Parliament tried to put laws on the colonists that the colonists had no opportunity to have a say in. Delegates from America were often ignored or mistreated as younger children in the empire, who had no say in the workings of their government. You see, the colonists insisted that in coming to America, they still had all the rights of a typical English citizen. They had the right to speak in their government. But Parliament's arbitrary laws and taxes were claiming otherwise. The most dreadful was Parliament's Tea Act. English operations in India were crumbling, putting the company running it, the East India Trading Company, in a precarious position in every sense. To alleviate the problems, earlier in the year, Parliament had sent shipments of tea from the company tax-free to the colonies. Essentially, the company was getting a bailout for poor policies at the expense of the colonists. However, patriots like Sam Adams didn't like the principle and didn't miss it. Parliament was undercutting America while claiming the right to rule as they pleased. So, one at a time, the ships from the company came sailing into the colonies' ports. In most colonies, the tea was either sent back to England or was left on the docks to rot. But Boston had a loyalist governor appointed by the Crown of England. Thomas Hutchinson was his name. When the people of Boston demanded that the tea be sent back, Hutchinson refused. The colonists then called an official meeting to decide what to do. 3 ships with tea had arrived in their harbor: the Eleanor, the Beaver, and the Dartmouth. When the governor affirmed his refusal at the meeting, Sam Adams gave the call for the brothers, the Sons of Liberty, to rally. This was going to be their night. They dressed as Indians the night of December 16th. They weren't seeking to hide their identities. They were too well known. The Indians were seen in that day as a symbol of freedom, and the Patriots sought to associate with that symbol. So the Patriots boarded the vessels and smashed the crates of tea. It was East India Company tea that went into the harbor that night. They destroyed the tea with no harm to the ships. The ships weren't even British. They were American ships. The Patriots wanted to destroy the English property as a demonstration. Over the next few days and weeks, the people up and down the colonies heard of the act. In that time, the event was never called the Boston Tea Party. That title came later in the 1860s. This was just called the destruction of tea in Boston, and was repeated up and down in various colonial cities. Such a mixed reaction they received. Some men, like the Adams brothers, stood by the Patriots and called this a great demonstration of liberty. However, the note of whose tea it was not lost on some. Men, including even the great George Washington, called it just an act of terror and senseless destruction. You have to remember, the Patriots had destroyed company property, not royal property. The feelings of the colonists were so mixed that the era of revolution did not come until Parliament made its response. Parliament was enraged by this action. This was an open challenge to their authority. The colonists had destroyed English property and refused to submit as the Parliament had wanted. Parliament had counted on the low price of the tea overruling their colonist principles. Parliament thought that they could appease the Patriots by appealing to their pocketbooks. But Parliament was wrong. Our nation was founded on principles, and at this time it was on principles that it would stand. Parliament responded by passing the Coercive Acts. The colonies called these the Intolerable Acts. This was the punishment. Suddenly, British troops were marching into private homes unlike ever before. The Boston port was completely shut down. Trade and everything stopped. And one by one, every freedom the colonies knew was being assaulted. It was this response that stirred the revolution. This was what lit the flame of freedom that would result in the long war. The Continental Congress was called in response, and would reunite the colonies like never before. And the rest is history. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Feel free to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. As always, have a great day. See you in the next one.